Let me explain something to you. I am a vintage, mass-marketed children's toy from the 80s. Standing right in front of you, holding a very sharp scalpel. I'm turning human again? If I don't get out of this body soon, I'm screwed. You little shit! Do you know what you've done?
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end.
I like a little killing now and then. What's wrong with that?
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Sinister Frame, and welcome back to another Sinister Frame retrospective. Today's series, well, this next 4, 5, or 6 podcasts are going to be Child's Play. That's right, the Child's Play franchise. We've been promising it for quite some time now. Now we're giving it out. That's it. Thank you for joining us.
Well, over the last while, obviously for the podcast, but I've always been a Chucky fan, but I have been re-immersing myself in Chucky, and I've started watching the TV series. So already I'm sort of getting Chucky fatigue a little bit, but I still enjoy it. But, you know, let's talk Child's Play 1 and 2.
All right. Yeah. So as we mentioned, we're going to be doing 2 films in one. So Child's Play 1 and 2 for this podcast, and 3 and 4 for the next, et cetera, like we did Nightmares and the Friday 13th. So we're just going to jump into it.
Yep.
Good old Chucky. Starting with Child's Play 1. I remember seeing this in the theater. I loved Child's Play when I was younger. What was I? 16 maybe when it came out? But I remember seeing it quite a few times. Yeah, that surge of all these films coming out that were so good. Lost Boys came out around that time, and Hellraiser, I think, came out that time. Child's Play. You had Waxwork.
Yeah.
All these different films were coming out around the same time.
But yes, I remember Child's Play, as I've often discussed on this podcast. I didn't get to see these films because I was a kid. I was like 12, 13 when Child's Play came out. I didn't get to see it until it was released in video, but I remember absolutely loving it. And it still holds up, in my opinion.
Well, let's see how that holds up, stands up.
Yeah. See how my holds up?
How your hold up stands up. See?
Yeah.
That's what I said. That might make my comment made more sense.
Well, they both make sense technically.
No, yours is
right.
stupid.
Whatever.
Yours is dumb. No one's gonna believe.
Heidi ho, wanna play?
He just ruined it. Movie's worst movie ever made. Now. So Don Mancini, who's the creator of the Chuckies, he pretty much got the idea from pretty much his dad was a marketing ad exec, so he pretty much got the idea from consumerism. So I think it was college, Berkeley or somewhere. I can't remember where he went, but that's where he came up with the idea for Chucky. And he knew it was going to be rewritten a couple times. John LaFia did some rewrites. Actually, he did the most successful rewrite, and Tom Holland got his hands on there as well. Now, Tom Holland at the time was known as a screenwriter. He had I personally think, great success. They weren't hits at the time, but they became really cult hits, which was obviously the underrated, now very popular Psycho 2.
Yes.
And the awesome, people need to see it, Class of 1984.
Yeah.
And 2 very good films. And then he obviously went on to direct Fright Night, which is considered one of the probably...
Oh, it's a classic.
Fan
yeah,
favorite.
it's brilliant.
Apparently,
Mancini and Holland did not get on over Holland's changes to Mancini's original script and story, and Holland got Mancini banned from the set when they were filming it.
Yeah. There's a reason why Holland's not back for 2, and we'll dive into that. But Holland, I don't want him to speak. I wasn't there.
Yes, of course. Same here.
But even Holland's, I watched the documentary. I'm a Holland fan, so no disrespect to Holland, but it seems like a lot of the crew weren't fans of Holland.
Right.
And the way he directs, so forth. And he was not invited back. David Kirshner made that quite clear in part 2.
Okay.
He was not even a choice. So some eggs were broken there. But we always say too many egos in the kitchen.
Well, this is not a surprise to me. Not the Holland stuff, but people not getting on during the movie making process. You know what I mean? It's as old as movie making itself. These things happen, including the rewrites things.
I mean, well, one of the things they changed, Tom Holland changed, which I agree with Tom. Tom, we're good friends.
Of course. Like you and Eagers, well, you used to be, but you've fallen out now.
Yeah. As I like to call it, Nosferatu. No. Get it?
Yes.
Nosferatu. Nosferatu.
Yeah, that was even worse than my joke earlier.
Nosferatu. No. I should change that. I'm going to change the title.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. We're talking good film. So the original concept was that the doll was going to become Andy's alter ego. It's going to become his lashing out at the people he's been bullied and so forth. And then the doll would protect him, which is kind of the way they go with in the new version.
Series?
The reboot.
Yes.
No, the reboot. And the series, yeah. Because, again, keep in mind, the reboot, well, we'll dive into that when we get to it. It was actually originally called Batteries Not Included, but at the time, Spielberg had a film coming out called Batteries Not Included. So they decided not to go that way, and they had the working title was Bloody Buddy. Thank God that was not the title. That's terrible.
Yeah. There's obviously influences here from, the sort of, possessed doll sort of thing in horror films is a trope that has been around for a long, long time. There's obviously inspirations here from the Twilight Zone episode, about the talking doll with Telly Savalas, Talkie Tina. And then you go back even to the 1940s, Dead of Night, with Michael Redgrave and the ventriloquist Stomach.
Well, you can list a bunch of, Tales from the Crypt had one with Joan Collins, I think, was being attacked by a voodoo thing.
Oh, no, that was the other one, Michelle Black, Trilogy of Terror.
Michelle Black. Yeah. Then, yes, that's right. And then you had Magic.
Yeah.
They have V. Hopkins, the ventriloquist. Think that. So, it's not, but I think this was the first time they peppered in a hint of comedy. So it's more of a comedy horror, the first Child's Play.
Yeah, although
it's funny because with Child's Play, we talked about this with where the Friday, at least the Friday 13s had a good steady 4 to 5 films, and then it kind of went batshit crazy. And then you had the Nightmares, in particular the Nightmare on Elm Streets. You can't. The problem I have with Nightmares was it went from a very dark pedophile serial killer of children to this camp, lovable one-liner jokester from the second one on. But Child's Play, even though this one's a little darker than what we're about to jump into in the rest of the series, can make that transition. It could get away with that transition. If that makes any
totally,
sense,
because essentially the story here, while in this first film, it is handled very seriously, or more seriously than the others, and the serious tone very much works. Ultimately, it's a completely preposterous story of a doll coming to life. A serial killer, putting his soul into this doll, this inanimate object. So, but the fact that it's a bit of a stroke of genius, actually, how well they pull this off.
Yeah, and Kevin Yeager and the FX team nail it out of the park. They do an amazing job. And then Kevin Yeager would meet his wife.
That's right, Catherine Hicks.
Catherine, yeah. So the movie cost $9 million to make. It made $44 million. So kudos. Let's dive into Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah.
As we know, Charles Lee Ray. The name came from 3 infamous madmen: Charles Manson from the Manson murders, Lee Harvey Oswald from the JFK assassination, and James Earl Ray, who assassinated Dr. Martin Luther King.
I always thought as well there was a sort of play on Henry Lee Lucas's name, the serial killer, the American serial killer, but I may be wrong.
No, it's what I just said.
No, I've read up on that, what you're saying as well. But in my head, for many years, I always thought it was a play on Henry Lee Lucas. I would say as well, before the days of, the internet, everybody having the internet on their phone, and IMDb, for many years, I thought the actress playing the mother, Catherine Hicks, was the very same actress who played Tina in Nightmare on Elm Street, because she does look like her.
She looks nothing
with
like her.
The hairstyle and all. She does. She really does.
She looks. Your comparisons to people. You got to be legally blind.
No. There is a similarity there.
There's not. You sit there and you try to like no. Anybody listening to this podcast would just want to beat you with the stick.
Well, that's
right
because
now.
you all know that it's not her because of the IMDb and the internet. But back when I was a kid,
I knew it right away. Everyone knows her from Star Trek 4.
She is actually in Star Trek 4. Yeah, The Voyage Home. Yes.
Yeah, that's where we all kind of got introduced to her.
At my 12-year-old, 13-year-old mind, I thought that this was Amanda Byce, who'd just grown up a bit and was now in Child's Play. But I've done similar stuff like that over the years, especially before the days of the internet.
You're just a clueless.
No,
twat.
not at all.
Let's
She does look like her. No, with the hairstyle and stuff, with the blonde hair. She does.
No.
I'm going to stick by it.
No.
I'm going to stick by 12-year-old me. Sorry.
Wow.
Go ahead. We're talking.
I just
Let's move on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, please, for love of Jesus Christ, let's move on. So we got Catherine Hicks, Chris Sarandon, Alex Vincent, Brad Dourif, and Dina Minoff. Very limited cast. Awesome. I love it. You've got Chris Sarandon, who's hot from Tom Holland's Fright Night. Very nice to see him. Very sad he didn't return.
Yes.
For a second. Alex Vincent, a kid actor, not bad. You know, he's the lead in this, so you got to give him credit.
For like whatever age he was, 6 or 7 at the time, he does a very solid job. And actually,
he does all right. He's a little whiny.
Yes, well,
a little whiny. There's some times where I was rooting for Chucky.
Yeah, well, there's one line in particular near the end where he goes, "This is the end, friend." You know, where he's trying to sell gravitas, and it doesn't work. But you know what I mean? He's but I mean, he's a 6-year-old kid, so we'll let him away a bit, you know.
So I like the beginning. You know, it's a chase sequence. Detective Mike Norris, Chris, is going after Charles Lee Ray, who's pretty much a serial killer at this point. And it's kind of funny. I've just noticed this, and again through the podcast eyes, even when the Chuckies that are yet to come, Charles Lee Ray's a whiny little bastard, and you see it right when Eddie, the getaway van, leaves him as he's being chased.
Yes.
And as he gets shot, he's got this whiny tone to him, and he tears up a bit, and so it does show in the other one how childlike his character kind of can be, even though he's this brutal killer.
Well, Brad Dourif, you know, he does that sort of serial killer, psycho sort of role very well, and he's done it multiple times. And more seriously, in Exorcist 3, you know, as a Gemini killer, he played a similar role in an episode of The X-Files. So he does that sort of, you know, psycho serial killer very well. But yes, he is a bit sort of whiny and sort of, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point is, what works with Dourif is he plays emotion well. And what I mean by that, you got a whiny character, he's about to be caught by the police, makes him kind of human, I guess you can say, for that brief moment. The scene where he's being set on fire, and then we get to near the end, you can hear him. You can hear his pain. He sells it. It's just his voice. You know, it's not, you know, it's a doll being set on fire, but he sells the doll being on fire because of the way he sells it. He just does.
The way he plays it.
And it's amazing just for such a small little role. He signed on for a 3-picture deal because I think they thought they had a hit on their hands, which they clearly do. But it's amazing. Brad Dourif is one of the finest performances of all time, and one of the most soul-destroying performances of all time is the movie called One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh, absolutely. Billy Bennett.
And his character, Nurse Cratchit, two of the most polar opposite characters in the same film, and it is a soul-destroying performance. If you guys, horror fans out there who like Brad Dourif, you need to check out his original work. And then my favorite performance by Brad Dourif will always be the Gemini killer in Legion Exorcist 3.
100%.
And it's just his voice. He's even in Chucky, he's got the he hams up the voice a bit, but in that Legion, he can deepen his voice a bit that it's almost, ironically enough, demonic.
Well, with the great thing to prove how great of an actor Brad Dourif is, here he's essentially playing the same type of role, but with a subtle tweak to his performances in that Chucky is tongue-in-cheek, so his performance is a little tongue-in-cheek, but then with Exorcist 3, you know what I mean, he's full-on sinister and believable.
Yeah. But we move on. Yeah, he's taking the bullet, and now he knows he's pretty much done for, so he's got to transfer his soul to whatever's available, and obviously it's Chucky doll. And he promises to get revenge on the people that fucked him, like Mike and Eddie and so on.
I love the mumbo jumbo that he says whenever he's doing the spell. You know, give me the power, I beg of thee. You know, it's just
it's almost like a little
pretty campy.
Some little He-Man there.
Yeah. But even the sort of basically the made up mumbo jumbo words, I think they're made up anyway.
I was waiting for them to quote the what do you call it, the Necronomicon.
Yes. Well, yeah.
He kept screwing up the words.
Yes. Yeah. Clatu barata necktie. Yeah.
I do like when we're introduced to Andy. And Catherine Hicks is, I think, very good in this film.
Brilliant here. Like, properly, he is playing this dead straight, and she is really convincing here.
Yeah, and so is Chris Sarandon.
Yes.
And then you got Brad Dourif. So you've got these wonderful actors who are really selling their roles. And Catherine Hicks, you feel so sorry for her. She's just a working class single mom, and she's trying to go to kid birthday stuff, and he ends up getting clothes. I mean, who the fuck wants clothes? Like, fuck off. I don't want fucking clothes.
But she's being practical, you know what I mean? And she's just, like you say, she's a struggling young mother, single mother, because she's lost her husband. Apparently the backstory that isn't revealed but was cut is the father died in a car crash. But then apparently a one draft of the script was going to reveal that Charles Lee Ray was actually the father of Andy. I'm glad they didn't go down that route. I don't think
that would have been creepy.
Yeah.
I like the fact I would know. See, they should have gave her a more. I mean, the movie's not that long. They could give her a little backstory. That would have been all right. Like, even to have a conversation with Mike the cop, she could have said, "Listen, we don't have to deal with this. We already had to deal with tragedy once," and that could have been mentioned. And it even makes you root for her more. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I never get why they cut little stuff like that out.
I would say though that see the whole sort of, especially in the early scenes, she is very believable as this struggling young single mother.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. And he's very good in it. You kind of feel sorry for him when he gets clothes.
Yeah, he is good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be like, fuck this shit.
I know.
A good guy toolbox. Who am I supposed to do with this shit?
Yeah. And that's the way kids react to stuff like that. You know what I mean? You don't want stupid clothes when you're a kid. You want the latest toy. In this case, a good guy doll.
Yeah, there's a scene where something's bothering me where the boss threatens her. You got to work late. No, you don't. By law, she doesn't have to work late. He threatens to fire her and everything. What's my kid's birthday? I'm off the clock. I don't have to work for you. And she pretty much threatens her, and this is where we get, Maggie's death because she's going to babysit. But
Maggie,
it's like, I'll tell you what though, that's the guy bothers me because that by law that he couldn't get away with that.
Well, I mean, you're sort of nitpicking, but I nitpicked, so that didn't bother me that much. They do have to sort of set it up. But I was more distracted by the fact that the mate, Maggie, she is the basically the go-to stereotypical 80s best friend to the female lead. You know what I mean? I was thinking of, Sarah Connor's mate in the original Terminator. All these types of 80s films always seem to have that had a female lead. Their best friend was always a bit quirky and, a bit opinionated and inevitably end up getting bumped off, But, she works. She's decent in the role as well.
Yeah, she works. And then when she does get it, I do love her death. It's cool. She's chucked out the window and then you see the body just slam in the car.
The two best scenes for me are her death scene and also the scene shortly after where basically Andy's mum threatens Chucky. Then this is when Chucky properly comes to life for the first time. You go, "You fucking stupid bitch," that sort of thing. They're my two favorite scenes actually of the film.
Mine's the burning.
Right.
So you got these little good guy shoes that they're in the, what do they call it, the fucking flower. And right away, Detective Mike there, he thinks, well, who else is going to be here? The kid's shoes. So he checks his kid's shoes and And it's good. I like the fact they bring back Alex Vincent, the actual actor, in future series.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I was always curious what he looks like. I like when they do that. They don't do it. They don't do it much anymore.
No.
Like Miko Hughes, you never see him much anymore. But he wasn't really in a franchise like Child's Play.
No, like Pet Sematary and Kindergarten Cop.
Well, yeah.
But no, Alex Vincent, he's done well. You know what I mean? He does the conventions a lot as well, and I think he's a big fan favorite. At the conventions and stuff. And he's always, stayed loyal to the series. Maybe he hasn't been offered, quite as many roles since. But good on him. You know what I mean? He's still stayed loyal to it and to the fans.
Yeah, I know he's doing all right for himself. And so so after her friend gets chucked out a window, the next day she brings the kid to school. You really don't think you can have a day off after that?
After witnessing a murder?
Yeah. Do you think maybe give him a day off? Would that be cool?
Yeah, but to be fair, Chucky had to get him to school so that Chucky could go and get his getaway driver.
This is my favorite part. The mom drops him off, hugs and kisses. He then sneaks out right away, takes the L train in Chicago.
Yes.
To the worst part of Chicago you can go to while carrying a doll bigger than him. And I do love when you finally get a POV of shot Chucky because he's telling him to bring him to Eddie's house.
Really good shot, actually.
I do like the POV of Chucky. It's this little short camera.
Yeah.
And it's running across the street.
See, up until Chucky's actually revealed as being like properly alive, there's some great tension played with, the glimpses of Chucky running in the background and stuff in the apartment and stuff. It's really well set up and
I think they're initially we knew it wasn't Andy, but the reason I don't think they really showed you anything was because they wanted a hint that maybe we're fooling you. Maybe Andy is the one doing it.
Yeah, well, exactly. Nobody knew at the time that this was a franchise and Chucky was going to be a runaway star. This was a one-off. Well, I know there was a 3-picture deal, but essentially, for all intents and purposes, actually, I didn't know there was a 3-picture deal until you said earlier. But for all intents and purposes, this is a one-off horror film.
Well, I think with Brad Dourif, they always give the lead a 3-picture deal, especially in the mid-'80s, where all these horror films have sequels flying out. Yeah, so they had to make sure they had him locked. So I don't think there was anything like you'd get now. You know what I mean? Financially. But I do like he's in. His buddy Eddie is walking around the house. He's hearing something, and he has a little pitter patter feet. And then you see this little hand. This is when you know it's not Andy. This little hand, doll hand, turning on the gas. Nice explosion.
Really, and really good, effective. I mean, all of the deaths in here are all pretty effective. In fact, I know I said the one, throwing the babysitter out the window was my favourite scene, along with the mother, finding out about Chucky. But another one of my favourite scenes is where Chucky goes to visit Dr. Death.
Yeah, the voodoo
guy.
Yeah, well, so that's my point. I mean, all the deaths are decent. They're all different, too.
Yes.
They don't kind of, here he comes with the knife.
And there's a point to them. So there is. You know what I mean?
So after the explosion, the detective has him in custody. And this is a good scene. There's a nice scene where the kid is sitting in a little not really an interrogation room, just a regular room, and the cops trying to get
is, though.
and some of the cops trying to get information out of him. And he insists that it was the doll who did it, Chucky. And there's a shot where Mike, again, Chris Wren, and this goes to the acting, is looking up at the ceiling like, I don't want to hear this because this poor kid is delusional.
Yeah.
And he feels right there, he feels sorry for him. And you can see that the way he sells it, because Mike also mentions it again to the mom, going, listen, I was in that room. I didn't like what I was hearing. So he has her back, but at the same time, his hands are tied. What the fuck is he supposed to do? And that's a great little character arc for him.
Yeah. Also, as well, I would say special shout out to his cynical partner. The guy with the 80s moustache.
Oh, you mean Nosferatu?
Yeah. And he's very much like, what the fuck? What, talking dolls? Give me a break. I was totally on his side, and Chris Sarandon's actually. Because in reality, if some screaming mother or some kid came to you and said, well, actually, it wasn't us that did the murders, it was the kid's doll, and he, like you say, he sells it, this sort of, oh, here we go again, not this shit, type attitude,
Yeah. So when the mother, he's got to stay overnight, the kid,
Yes.
in the really creepy kids asylum.
Yeah, I mean, I know this was the 80s, but like it feels more like the Victorian asylum or something, for kids. It's pretty harsh.
One who flew
And
the
also
cuckoo's nest for kids.
Yeah, and also the guy from the Incredible Hulk TV series, he's the doctor, the guy with the glasses.
Who would he play in the Hulk?
He was like, I think he was like David Banner's mate. He's in all the episodes. I mean, I haven't seen it in many years.
I don't remember the
Yeah.
But again, you're pointless, lookalikes, and you're pointless people extra number 2. Thank you for that.
Don't mention it.
So the best part, one of my favorite parts is when she's home by herself, and the Chucky doll won't shut up, and she's like, "Shut the fuck up, you little bastard!" And
Love this scene.
And she's gonna chuck off the box, and the batteries come out of the box. It's a good scene, and she walks over to the Chucky doll very slowly, and opens up the back, and there's no batteries in it. That is such a good reveal. It's so fun.
Yep. And also a short, following this, she has enough, and she threatens to. This is the one I was referring to earlier, where she threatens to burn the doll. Speak, you little shit, you little bastard.
Yeah.
And,
and she goes, "You filthy slut! I'll teach you to fuck with me."
Yeah, and that's whenever Chucky's like properly, fully revealed. You know what I mean? You stupid fucking bitch, with the wee sort of angry face and stuff. It's in equal parts really funny, but also pretty creepy and terrifying as well.
Yeah, but
really well done.
This is where the film, and I'm shocked if anyone protests Chucky, because come on, I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
You can't. I can see it was an actual child, saying the parts, and but it's not. It's a fucking doll. How do you get offended by something like this?
How anyone could take any of the Chucky films serious is beyond me, but we will get to the big controversies whenever we're doing Child's Play 3, the big controversies here in the UK with Child's Play 3, but we'll get to those. But yes, I agree. How anyone could, yes, it's foul-mouthed, but it's completely over the top, and how anyone could in any way take Chucky or the film series overall seriously is, they obviously haven't watched it. For a start.
No, they didn't. They just heard about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So another good scene is the car fight scene between Mike and
really
Chucky,
good.
And he's got him by the neck, obviously with a seatbelt, wherever he's got going around his neck, and he uses the cigarette burn, and he burns his face.
Yeah,
and this is when Chucky starts to realize, shit, why did I feel that? Because at this point he didn't realize he can't feel pain. He thought he was invincible, technically, at this point. But he's now finding out, when he goes to Dr. Death, when he finds out that, no, you have to transfer quickly or you'll be stuck on that body and it becomes human.
Yes,
and that's why he's starting to feel pain, and that's why he gets the gunshot. Now, this whole chase scene is so well done. And then you got the knife going underneath the seat. And you're like, geez, any guy can feel that. And
oh, totally.
He starts speeding up the car on him. The car obviously crashes. And this is where Chucky still feels he's kind of invincible. And then there's a great slow-mo shot where he shoots, where Mike shoots him, and he flies back.
Yeah.
And he runs, and he panics because he doesn't realize, oh shit, why am I feeling pain?
Yeah, exactly. And I love those claustrophobic scenes where he's in the car, Mike's in the car, but it's basically turned upside down. He's got a seatbelt and stuff on. He's kind of struggling to get out, but yet Chucky's running around the car and stuff. Again, brilliantly, effectively directed.
And that's not forget about the animatronics are incredible.
Oh, great! Yeah,
and even the little people, the dwarfs, or I don't want to call them now, little people that they put in the costume work well.
Apparently, you know who played Chucky in some of the scenes?
Who?
Andy Barclay's younger sister in real life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Was she the one that set on fire?
They used them. They used a mix of basically puppeteering, animatronics, and also little people and actual children.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the famous story in Halloween, the original.
Yes,
where the Michael Myers got the mask on, and we see through the point of view of Michael Myers. He's going to grab the knife.
Yeah,
that knife was actually Deborah Hill's hand. The producer,
right? Because obviously the child actor.
Deborah Hill was 20-something but she was very
Right,
petite.
yes.
So it looked like she had a little kid's hand, so they used her hand
Yeah.
to do that. But it's very clever how they can do that kind of stuff and how they adapt to it and how they can, and a lot of it's on the cuff. They gotta, well, what are we gonna do when you gotta film the shot? And they'll go, hey, you over here, you got a small hand, come over here. That's
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And it works. Well,
Yeah.
certainly here it does anyway,
exactly. The voodoo guy, he gets it. Poor bastard.
I love him. He's great.
Poor bastard.
Yeah. You are an abomination. Yeah. He gets his legs and all broken as well with the voodoo doll.
Yeah. Yeah. That was good. And the voodoo guy is quite good in it because he sells it quite well because
Yes.
he knows he's dead. And especially when he has the voodoo doll in his
Yeah.
hand. It's a nice little
Yeah, your own dojo. Chucky says.
yeah. It's ironic death he
Yeah.
gets, I guess.
Mhm.
So there's a shot where you see little Chucky running up the stairs to the kids' asylum because he finds out that he needs Alex's body because he's the first one he opened up to about
Yes.
who he really is. So that's the only person he can transfer his soul to. And this is a famous shot where Tom Holland kept yelling at him, I need you to cry, kid. His parents were on the set at the time. And he whispers something, is there something horrible about your parents are dead or something like that? He admits to doing this. And he did a William Friedkin on a child. And the kid started crying. And that shot, you see him crying, screaming for help. And nobody was coming to help him because Chucky's coming to get him. No one believes him. And he starts crying. That all was legit. And Tom Holland actually went up to the parents and said, I'm sorry about that, but I had, and she goes, no, it's for his craft. I'm like, Jesus.
It totally works because you feel so sorry for this kid in this scene. But because the tears are real,
You see movies like Smile. We talk about Smile 2.
Yes.
Praise Smile 2. Or even the original Smile, where both people are put in a situation where nobody's going to believe them. You've got the ex-druggie, and then you got the therapist, mental therapist, who seems like she's having a breakdown. No one's going to believe either of these people in their situation. And Andy's out acting the exact same thing.
Yes.
And now so's the mother. And quite frankly, so's Mike.
Exactly. It's even worse for Andy because nobody believes kids anyway. But, and he's telling the truth here,
So the final showdown is the best part of the film. It closes well. It's paced well. It's got some good banter, as you mentioned, with the partner. I love the fact when she throws him behind in the fire, and she's going to set it on fire, and she's got him behind the cage, and obviously Andy lights the match and sets him on fire. And that whole effect, whether it obviously it's probably more mechanical, but there's probably a stunt double and some camera technique they'd used. But again, Brad Dourif selling it, the pain that he is going through. And even if you think about it, it's melted plastic.
But human flesh as well, because he's turning human as well. So it's a mixture of plastic and human flesh. But even before they actually light the match, you can see him desperate, like trying to escape and stuff. It works really well.
Yeah, and each time you see him, he's weaker because he's got the bullet wound now. His face is, he's taking hits, whether it's with baseball bats and so forth. So he's not this invincible being that in his mind that he's thought more vulnerable. Was. But the voodoo guy, before he dies, tells them you have to shoot him in the heart.
His last breath.
So after they chop off his head, his arm, his leg, he's still coming after him, and that's where the partner gets grabbed by the throat. And when Mike shoots him, it's the best. It's a great shot because when he shoots him in the heart, you can see the blood and the heart piece and the muscle fly back in the wall, fly in the back of the wall, and that's his cartilage. That shows that he's human. That's the first. You saw a little blood here and there, but until you saw him shoot the heart, that's where you know this thing was human.
It's a really nice touch.
Yeah.
And it's an important detail, actually.
Well, it's continuity again. All right. Yeah, so that's the end of Child's Play. Child's Play was a big hit. Of course, we know it's horror standard that you come up with a sequel. Tom Holland was not invited back. Some kind of feud there, as we previously just discussed. This time, the writers are taking over. John LaFia, who kind of fine-tuned the script, is now director, and Tom Machini is full story man. And they decided they wanted Andy by himself. Now, they interviewed during a documentary Catherine Hicks, and she was not happy. She didn't mind not coming back, but she did not like the fact that she was thrown into a mental institution, because the whole film is that she's trying to prove her sanity and prove her kid's sanity, and they did prove that. So they made it like a one-line fix, and that wasn't fair to their character, and I got her point 100%.
Although I would say at the end of Child's Play 1, whenever Mike's partner eventually realizes that the doll is alive, Mike says to him, "Now do you believe me?" He turns around and goes, "Yeah, but who's going to believe me?" So I can accept that, because let's face it, in real life, if somebody a grown adult claimed that a doll was responsible for a series of murders,
but you keep saying that as an excuse, but
they're going to get locked up.
That's still not keeping true to what the first one was trying to do. You got these. I mean, you've got 3 credible witnesses. 2 of them are cops, and you're doing the first film of just justice. And the funny thing is, it's the same writers. So what you're doing here is you're pretty much wiping out everything that Catherine Hicks, Chris Sarandon did. And with these bad one-line fixes, they could have said something different. It didn't make any sense why you just institutionalize it like that. And I don't think that's fair. I really don't. And Catherine Hicks is completely right. We just discussed a second ago about how her performance, and she's got to sell that she's not crazy, that blah, blah, blah. And now you just, at the end, that's thrown out by just throwing it in an institution.
Well, in terms of the character, I can understand that happening to the character, but I would say that I would have liked Catherine Hicks to come back, because she's basically so good in the first one, and she deserved to come back. I mean, I've read up on stuff where it says that essentially the writers just wanted to go in a different direction with just Andy. I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't there, and I don't know exactly what went on. But yes, I would very much have liked to have seen Catherine Hicks back, because she's very good in the first one.
She was on the set because she married Kevin Yeager.
Yes, because her husband. She was pregnant at the time of the making of the second one, apparently.
All right, so this one we got Andy back, Alex Vincent. We got Jenny Agutter, plays Joanne. We got Garrett Graham, who plays Phil Simpson. We got Christine Elise as Kylie. Brad Dourif, of course, is back. And, of course, we got Mrs. Kettlewell, which is a wonderful character. And I always like to see, we've talked to her a few times, Grace Zabriskie as Grace Poole.
Yes, Laura Palmer's mother from Twin Peaks.
Sure, we go that one if you'd like. Jenny Agutter, who we just talked about recently with Darkman. She's famous for, obviously, American Werewolf in London. She said this was the worst film she's ever been on. And she says it was the worst experience she's ever been on. And she said, and I can see this movie is 87 minutes long, and like 30 minutes of it was in a factory. They said they cut so many scenes that she was really proud of. And I never get that with horror films. Why cut some decent scenes to give the actors a little meat on the bone? Why just, even her death is off screen. Yeah. So I understand why she'd be a little upset.
Exactly. I would say as well, what we do get here with her, overall, she is sadly wasted, because she can act, and you know what I mean? She has what it takes. And she's just a little bit more than a supporting character here, which is sad to see. I would have liked to have seen so much more of her in this, essentially. And, I sort of agree with her. I think she's right. I think she has been badly wasted here.
I got her back on that one. Her and Catherine Hicks are both completely right. I remember Chris Sarandon.
Yes.
No, he goes, they did have a scene with me. They were going to have a scene with me, but then they decided not to do it. And I was like, I'm cool. I got to survive a horror film. I'm all right. So he was all right with it.
I would have liked to have seen him back as well.
Yeah. It would be nice to have a cameo at the very end to help them.
Yes.
Or something.
Yeah.
Like have a mysterious stranger following them. He was the mysterious stranger or something.
Yeah. Or even like they did with Maniac Cop and Maniac Cop 2.
Okay, why you got to do that? Why are you comparing
Well, it's the same era.
Yeah, but one's a piece of shit, and these are pretty good.
And Maniac Cop, Bruce Campbell is the star, and then they bring him back for the second one to kill him off in the first scene, so at least he come back for the sequel. That will be being bumped off pretty quick.
Spoiler alert.
We'll get to those.
I do like the opening sequence. It's pretty much just a data dump. But I do like the fact that I don't know why the Chucky doll isn't in the evidence room, but it's not. It's
no,
back.
that's explained.
Yeah, kind of. The cops don't want anything to do with it. So the big toy manufacturer gets the doll back. That's how they explain it. Give me a break. It's a data dump.
Yes.
But I do like how they show they clean it up. It's scraping the burnt rubber, and he just got the shell of the metal shell there. And I think it's kind of neat how they show the making of the doll. I do think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And to have to bring Chucky back, so there's always going to be some sort of convoluted bullshit reason. So it sort of works in terms of convoluted bullshit reasons to bring the killer back from the dead.
The two executives like, the tabloids are hurting our business, and the police don't believe the mom. I think she's in a psych ward somewhere, and the police just gave us the doll. So let's just rebuild it. Why?
Yeah.
Why not just throw it away?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they rebuild it all.
Why? I don't get why they're rebuilding it.
Because they have to bring Chucky back, or else the film would only be 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
Again, it's a bullshit excuse, and they're all pretty obnoxious and unlikable as well. It's like when his assistant, who Chucky sort of kidnaps very soon, says to him, "Mom, what do you want me to do with the doll?" And your man goes, "Stick it up your ass."
That's right, because they're putting the eye thing in, and those things are coming back. They're putting the eyes in, and the electrical surge brings back Chucky. Give me a fucking break.
How convenient.
So stupid. But I'm going with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, this is a dumbed down version of what we just watched. That's exactly what this is. But I don't care. I'm going with it. I don't care.
We'll get to it in our overall wrap up, but I do have other issues with it. But I would agree that it is very much, it's like Child's Play, Child's Play the film light. It's just, for me, it's just a lot of, could be down to the editing as well. In fact, going by what Jenny Gutter said, I think a lot of it is to do with the editing. It just plays off as just a bunch of set pieces and scenes. The finale's quite good, actually. And actually, that opening that we just talked about.
Yeah, the finale's not bad, but it gets a little long. We'll talk about it. But so we meet the Simpsons and Kylie, and don't.
Yep.
I do love when Andy, this is your room, and he's got all these fucking brand new toys and shit. I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Then he opens up the closet, and this big good guy doll falls on him. Yeah, I just remember.
You know what that reminded me of?
I just remember Ricky, Billy, whoever his fucking name is from Santa. Silent Night.
Just about to say the same thing.
Punish.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. That's what it reminded me of with Billy in Silent Night, Deadly Night, where he's had all this traumatic shit going on with Santa basically murdering his mother, and they give him a job as a department store Santa. This is what this reminded me of. Them band, where basically, I don't know if they bought it for Andy, but they basically
she said I forgot that was there.
Yeah, but it isn't Chucky, it's Tommy.
It's Tommy, that's right. So when Chucky takes the plastic head over one of the executives, he finds out where Andy went because the executive has all the paperwork.
Yeah, how convenient.
The entire all the police reports and everything.
Yes, exactly. Then Chucky, not only that, Chucky then uses his very 80s sort of car phone to ring the Foster, headquarters, with Laura Palmer's mother from Twin Peaks. And I mean, he just says that, this is Andy's Uncle Charles. What sort of, is there no security to go through with, especially a kid that's went through so much traumatic shit that Andy Bartley's went through? The question
you'd say is, why aren't you with Andy then if you're his uncle? Why do I have custody of him?
Exactly. This could be anyone. You know what I mean? This is a child who was stalked by a killer.
I have to admit, the one thing the film has for it, even despite its massive plot holes and plot conveniences, this is fucking fast paced. It doesn't stop.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's only like 87 minutes or whatever, and it does go by pretty quick. So it does. I would say, it does, especially with the scenes coming up here with the teacher and stuff, there is a lack of tension and urgency.
Yeah.
And it is very predictable.
The deaths are predictable, and they seem just shoehorned in, as they say.
Yeah. Like I said, just a series of set pieces and scenes, sort of, that are good ideas in and of themselves, but in terms of like a story, a linear story, there's no real tension built. or urgency, and full of dipshit characters as well, like the fucking foster sister to Andy.
I do like the scene where Chucky finally shows up and they just show it and he's at the bottom of the stairs.
Yes.
And that's where Chucky sees Tommy, the fake, the other good guy doll. And he beats the shit out of it. And he buries it.
Why would he go to all the hassle of getting his wee toy spade and burying it when he could just throw it out of the way somewhere? I mean, well, it's obviously so it will be discovered later on.
I love the next day where one of those relics that the mom has, it gets broken.
The ornament, yes.
And, yeah, they're all being blamed. And the next shot, Kylie's smoking in the wash machine, and then she hands him the smoke.
Yeah.
Here, you would never see this now in cinema.
It was the 80s, man. You know what I mean?
It was the 80s.
Kids smoke.
And he tries a puff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Kids, 7-year-old kids chain smoked in films still back then, Yeah, but yeah, you would never in a million years. You aren't even allowed to see adults smoking in the bulk of films now. Never mind 6-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The scene where Andy decides to go down and talk to the good guy doll, which is no longer Tommy, it's actually Chucky.
Yes.
And he just stares at it. And the dog goes, "Hi, I'm Tommy." He forgot his name.
That's actually probably the best line.
It is the best line.
Where he's almost about to say Chucky, and he pauses. Oh, Tommy, yeah.
But they refer to it again too when they're going to chase after Andy with Kylie and Chucky in the car, and the cop goes, "What's your name?" And he just turns to him, Chucky.
Yes, that's right.
It has some good moments. It does have some decent moments, but it's not as well. You know what the truth is? John Knopf is a newer director. You needed Tom Holland behind the lens here.
Totally agree.
To bring us a little more, I guess you can say, class. And I hate saying it, a little more class to this. You actually take that. You do have class with some good actors. Garrett Graham, who I like from The Phantom of Paradise. And Yes Cars. I like Jenny Agutter, as we talked about. The other ones are up and coming. I like Grayson Brisky, who's misused in this. So you do have good actors in there peppered in. You're just not utilizing them properly. And it's just a bunch of scenes put together.
Yeah.
And the scenes, they're fun. But man, what we just came from, this could have been a lot better.
Yeah, there needed to be more of a sort of coherency in terms of the sort of dramatic tension. Like we're saying, it is just a bunch of scenes. Yes, there is some funny stuff and some enjoyable stuff, but it doesn't really overall, as a sort of, compared to the original, it's just not pulled off. And I think that's just down to not the writing, but the direction, actually.
Yeah, and that's John Knopf. Yeah, God rest his soul. He passed away quite young, but
yes,
I don't think he was really a director. I think he ended up directing Man's Best Friend with Lance Henriksen about a killer dog, but I don't know. Then Phil gets it. He falls down the stairs, breaks his neck, and there's Andy in the middle of everything. The mother starts losing the plot, and then you kill Jenny Agutter on the sidelines. You don't even give her death. Now, if I was in a slasher film and I'm not being killed on scene, on the set, or if I'm not going to be seeing my death, I'm going to be pissed.
Especially someone who can actually act and someone with the class of Jenny Agutter.
I mean,
she should have been the main star here.
Even the smaller parts he gave us, it would have been nice to see a scene where she's defending herself and you feel sorry for her because she just lost her husband. Her mom's ornament is crushed. She's trying to take care of this kid. She's actually very nice to him, even though he's, kind of causing a ruckus, even though it's not his fault. But if you gave her some kind of a fight between her and Chucky and she's getting slaughtered, give us that at least.
Jenny Agutter should have been the main character here, without a doubt, carrying the film, and she could no doubt have carried it, because she has a real touch of class about her, always has done. She is sadly wasted here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you got the Miss Kettle, death.
Yeah, the teacher.
Which is he beats her with a ruler. That's so fucking stupid. How many beatings do you have to beat somebody to kill him with a ruler?
I know. plus the fact that Chucky is like 2 foot tall, and could she not have defended herself better, at least with some of the other Chucky deaths?
She just lies there. Why don't you get up and kick it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just put her out of the way. I do quite like Chucky in this scene. She's actually very good in Donnie Darko as, the sort of member of the sort of leader of the parents.
Well, no, she's a character actress. She's been around for years. She's done hundreds of films. She was good in Speed. She's good in Devil's Advocate. She plays Keanu Reeves' mom. She plays
similar types of characters.
She does. She always plays someone who's very boisterous.
Yes.
But she's good. The actors are there to do their job. I just thought the death was kind of stupid. It was just to get, I don't know. I just thought
it was for another death, basically.
Yeah.
Because I think they were maybe thinking, the audience will maybe be getting a bit bored now. We need to throw in another death. Yeah, let's do the teacher over. Even though it's never referenced again at all for the rest of the film. Although things do happen here in a small time frame, like the first film, actually.
What was that?
The events of this film happen over a short time period, like a couple of days, just like the original film.
I think 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So when Phil breaks his neck, the poor fucker is thrown back into the institute.
Yes.
And Kylie's on the swing, and conveniently, that's where he buried the body of the other Tommy, of the real Tommy. And she's like, "Oh my God." And then that's where we find Jenny Gutter's dead. So Kylie's now this should have been reversed. Kylie should have been Kylie could have been a good character like she is now, always very accommodating to Andy, but she should have been killed off with more of a struggle. And a Gutter sees her dead, sees the doll. She puts the pieces together. I just put this child back in an asylum. He shouldn't be there. I'm going to get him out. That would have made more sense.
Yeah. And then totally agree. Because, instead we get just Jenny Gutter basically already dead after being killed, but we don't see the death on screen.
It's almost like she says, "I want off the set. You're rewriting everything. Kill me now and make me off camera." That's what she probably said.
Yeah. Possibly. Possibly.
But I do like the banter. So she's driving Kylie, and she's got a race to get to the asylum, which is very easy to get into. And I just love the line where he's like, she's being a smart ass to him, and he finally turns to her, "Shut up and drive, bitch, before I kick your fucking teeth in."
Yeah.
Now, it's a horrible line to say to anybody, especially a woman, but come on, it's Chucky. It's Chucky.
But it's not real. Yeah, exactly. It's Chucky. You would be disappointed if Chucky wasn't foul-mouthed and really abusive, I don't want the polite Chucky, trust me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then they end up in the toy factory.
This scene could have worked. I mean, it works to certain. I like the assembly line thing, but first of all, there's no workers here watching the assembly line, but one guy.
I was just about to say that, actually. The fact that basically this is a factory, but with no workers. I know it's a night shift, but just one guy. Look, that's not the way factories work.
Yeah, you would have
no
assembly line would be moving right now.
Exactly.
You have to have checkers and it's quite. And here's the best part. I love how now, obviously, we're having fun. It's kind of like a fun house. It really, isn't it? They have to go through all these assembly lines where they could be gouged or ripped apart because that's the only way they can get to an exit. So this whole factory,
it's like a maze, basically.
The only way to get to an exit door is through an assembly line.
Yeah. The whole factory is basically like a fun fair ride, essentially. I mean, it's very colourful and all as well. And, it's full of children's toys. Suspiciously, there's no workers there, well, apart from one who gets bumped off. And actually not a bad scene, with his eyes. It's quite a good death. But, where he gets Chucky eyes put in his own eyes. But, yeah, it's all a bit convoluted, but it's not bad.
The hot rubber, it's entertaining. You know what this is? The hot rubber scene's pretty good. Again, he sells it with him screaming in pain.
Yes.
But what I found out about this film is it's not as fun and thrilling as the original was. The other one is also compelling.
Yes.
Just how are they going to get out of this? But what I felt this was almost like a kid's version of what we just watched.
Yes, it does. It's, as we discussed, there are some good things here, including sort of some excellent actors. that, you know, if they had been used right, could have really elevated it into something just as tense and as good as the original. But instead, it becomes a bit of a nonsensical runaround, you know, when you really examine it. You know, I can sort of overlook things like plot holes and plot conveniences with a Chucky film, but you know, it's lacking overall, I think, and it actually becomes quite forgettable.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw this whenever it was first released on video, and I could remember very little about it, whereas I could remember practically all of the original. You know, from watching it as a kid to watching it as an adult.
Yeah, I remembered most of it because I saw it a few times. I mean, I shouldn't like it, but because it's still in vein of the original, minus the character arcs, story, and some other elements that made the first one, I guess you could say, credible.
Yes, the first one is very credible
and warrants a sequel. This one takes away what made the first one credible. Now, they keep true. I always said that if a sequel, if you copy and paste 1 and 2 together, you play it with one film and it works. It does work like that. It can work as one film. So it gets a pass from me on that. It is entertaining. Brad Dourif's the best thing in it, period.
Yeah, it usually is.
But yeah, seeing it now, it needed that serious tone to it, especially dealing with a child who just lost his father, now his mother, and you know, he's in a stranger's house. He seems pretty okay with it. So we needed a little more. Give us 5-10 more minutes with Jenny Agutter and him dealing with that.
Yeah. It feels like sequel by numbers.
Yeah, and rushed.
Yes.
So
rushed in every way, actually, in terms of the whole production of it and the choppy editing and stuff and whatever was going on with Jenny Agutter. Yeah, it does feel too generic.
All right, guys, that's a wrap up for Child's Play 1 and 2. We'll be back with Child's Play 3 and 4. I think it's just Child's Play 3, and then Child's Play 4, I think, is one of those.
Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky, is that the one?
Yes.
That's when they just go batshit crazy. But we expect that from Chucky. We will be back. Give us a shout, guys, on Instagram, CitizenFrame_podcast, and of course, Facebook. We'll be back as we continue our little demon friend, little doll demon friend, Chucky. There we go. Little doll demon friend.
The Lockshore Strangler, Charles Lee Ray.
There you are. All right, guys. We're out. Have a good one.